Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow brothers and sisters, today I stand before you with a heart full of pride and a spirit unwavering, not just for the journey we've endured, but for the strength we carry in our blood. The journey of our ancestors, the stories of survival, and the voices of resilience, they all echo in our hearts. They took us from Africa, but they could not erase us. When they pulled us from the rich soils of our homeland, when they shackled our bodies and dragged us across the oceans, they thought they could erase our essence, our culture, our history. They believed that by taking us from the lands of our forefathers, they could sever the ties that bound us to our identity. But what they failed to understand is that you cannot erase a people whose roots run deeper than any ocean, any continent. You cannot erase the spirit of a people who have known struggle, who have known resilience, who have always found ways to survive, to thrive, to rise again. Africa is not just a place on a map, it is in our bones, in our blood. Our ancestors, though taken, though brutalized, never lost the essence of who they were. They carried Africa in their hearts, and through them, that spirit was passed on to us. Even in the darkest moments, when the chains were heavy and the ship's wooden deck seemed to press the very air from our lungs, our ancestors did not break. They whispered to us in our dreams. They spoke through our mothers and fathers. They sang in our hearts. They took our bodies, but they could not take our souls. They could not erase our dance, our music, our language, our dreams. These things cannot be bound by chains or captured in a cage. They belong to us. They are part of us. From the rivers of the Nile to the savannas of the Serengeti, from the deserts of the Sahara to the forests of the Congo. Africa lives in each of us. The land may have been taken, but the spirit was never lost. And so we rise, as our ancestors rose before us. With every step we take, with every achievement we claim, with every dream we chase, we honor them. We honor the struggle, the pain, and the sacrifices that have brought us here today. They tried to erase us. They tried to tell us that we were nothing, that we came from nothing, but we are everything. We are the product of generations that survived and thrived. We are the story of hope that never ended, a hope that transcends oceans, that defies time. So today, as we look at the progress we have made, as we reflect on how far we have come, let us not forget that we stand on the shoulders of giants. Let us never forget that they took us from Africa, but they could not erase us. We are Africa. We are the heartbeat of a continent that refuses to die, and we will continue to rise, to lead, and to show the world the power of a people who refuse to be erased. They took us from the soil of our homeland, separated us from our families, and dragged us across oceans. They thought that by removing us from Africa, they could erase us. They believed that by severing our connection to the land that birthed us, by forcing us into foreign lands, they could wipe away the very essence of who we are. They thought that by stripping us of our names, our languages, our traditions, they could erase our identity, that they could turn us into something unrecognizable. But in their ignorance, they did not understand the power of the African spirit, the depth of our roots, and the resilience that lives in every one of us. Our ancestors were stolen from Africa, forced into chains, crammed into the holds of ships where they were treated as less than human. The journey was a brutal one, marked by pain, fear, and unimaginable suffering. Many did not survive the voyage, but those who did carried with them more than their bodies. They carried the memory of Africa, the pulse of its heartbeat. They carried the strength of generations before them and the knowledge that no matter where they were taken, Africa would always live within them. This wasn't just a physical removal, it was an attempt to erase an entire people, to strip them of their connection to the earth that had nourished them, to their ancestors who had fought and thrived on that land for millennia. The forces that took them believed they could erase their culture, their language, their connection to the land. But they could never take the spirit that lives in the soil of Africa, the stories passed down through generations, the rhythm of the drums, the songs of the elders, the dance of the community. What they did not realize is that you cannot erase a people whose connection to their homeland runs so deep. Africa is more than just a place. It is a part of us. It is in our blood, in our bones. The land itself has witnessed the struggles and triumphs of our ancestors, and that history cannot be erased, no matter how hard they tried. Africa lives in the memory of every single one of us. And no matter how far we were taken, no matter how many miles separated us from our homeland, Africa was never far from our hearts. We carry Africa with us in everything we do. It is in the way we speak, the way we move, the way we love, the way we fight. It is in the music that flows from our lips, the beat that pulses in our feet, and the fire that burns in our eyes. Africa is not a place that can be taken from us. It is a part of us that can never be severed, no matter how much they try to distance us from it. Even in the darkest days of enslavement, even in the most oppressive conditions, our ancestors never forgot who they were. They passed down their stories, their strength, their hopes for a future where the African spirit could thrive once again. They carried Africa within them, and through their survival, they ensured that we too would carry it forward. They took us from the soil of Africa, but they could never erase the spirit of Africa that lives in each of us. Today, we are the living proof that no matter what was done to us, no matter how far they tried to remove us from our roots, we remain unbroken. We are Africa, and we will continue to rise, to reclaim, to honor the legacy of those who came before us and carry it into the future. But what they fail to understand is that our spirit cannot be captured. You cannot erase a people whose roots run deep in the heart of Africa. Our history, our culture, our identity were never bound by chains. While our bodies were bound in shackles, our spirits soared free. They tried to break us, to subdue us, but they could never subdue the fire within, the fire that burns with the memory of our ancestors' strength, the fire that ignites the courage to rise again, no matter how many times we fall. Our spirit is unbreakable because it is rooted in the land of Africa, in its rich history and deep traditions. No matter how far they took us from the hills, rivers, and plains of Africa, they could not sever the bond we have with our homeland. Africa is not just the land of our birth, it is the cradle of our soul. It lives in our blood and is embedded in every fiber of our being. From the moment we draw breath, we are connected to the ancient rhythms of Africa, to the wisdom of those who came before us, to the land that saw the rise of mighty kingdoms and the birth of our great civilizations. Our resilience lies not just in our ability to endure, but in our refusal to be erased. They thought that by stripping us of our names, our languages, and our customs, they could erase our identity. But our identity is not just in the names we carry, nor in the language we speak. It is in the essence of who we are, our culture, our values, our connection to community, our understanding of love, respect, and unity. They could not take these things away. Even in the most brutal conditions, we found ways to hold on to what made us who we were. Our ancestors carried their African identity in their hearts, and they passed it down to us, generation after generation. The resilience of our spirit is reflected in our ability to adapt and thrive in the face of unimaginable hardship. When the chains of slavery tried to bind us, we found ways to resist. When the weight of oppression tried to silence our voices, we sang louder. When they took our land, we fought back with courage and strength. Even when they tried to break us, we found ways to rebuild, to carry on, and to pass on the torch of resilience to the next generation. Our history is filled with stories of resistance, of people who stood up against impossible odds, who never gave up on their dignity and their humanity. These stories are not just history. They are the foundation of our resilience today. When we look at the struggles we face now, we remember that our ancestors fought for survival, for freedom, and for the right to live with dignity. They did not just survive, they thrived, and so must we. Our resilience is also evident in the way we honor and preserve our culture. Despite the efforts to erase us, African traditions have lived on, passed down through oral history, through music, through dance, through art, and through the strong bonds of family and community. Every time we speak in our native languages, Every time we dance to the rhythm of our ancestors, every time we tell our stories, we are affirming the resilience of our spirit. We are the living testament to that resilience. Though they took our bodies, they could not take our spirit. Though they tried to erase us, we are here, and we will continue to rise, continue to thrive. The resilience of our spirit is our most powerful weapon. It is a weapon that can never be taken from us, no matter what. It is a weapon that will continue to fuel our fight for justice, for dignity, for our place in the world. They cannot erase us, because we are the embodiment of Africa's unbreakable spirit. Even in the darkest moments, when oppression seemed unbearable, our ancestors did not break. They carried Africa within them, passing down that strength to us. The strength of our ancestors was forged in the furnace of adversity, tempered by the cruelty of their experiences, and yet it remained unshaken, a testament to their indomitable will to survive. When the forces of slavery and colonization sought to strip away their dignity, their culture, and their identity, our ancestors stood firm. They refused to be broken. Their strength was not just physical, it was spiritual, mental, and emotional. It was the strength that comes from knowing who you are, from having a connection to something greater than yourself. Our ancestors knew that their bodies may be confined by chains, but their minds and spirits could never be imprisoned. They may have been separated from their families, forced into labor, and deprived of their basic rights, but they carried with them the deep-rooted knowledge that Africa was not just a place, it was a state of being, an identity that could not be erased by any force. This strength was passed down through generations, embedded in the very core of our being. It is the strength that survives through songs, stories, rituals, and memories. The strength that defies time and space. Even as they endured unimaginable hardship, our ancestors found ways to resist. They resisted with their silence, with their voices, with their unity. When the lash of the whip came, they resisted by holding their heads high, by enduring the pain and continuing to fight for survival. In every act of defiance, no matter how small, they demonstrated the power of resilience. It was in the quiet moments of gathering in secret, to pray, to sing, to share stories, that the strength of our ancestors became clear. It was in the fight for freedom, the fight for dignity, and the fight to remain human in the face of dehumanization. Our ancestors passed down more than just survival skills. They passed down a legacy of resistance and resilience, a legacy that reminds us that no matter what circumstances we face, we have the strength to overcome. That strength is in our blood. It is in the legacy of kingdoms like Mali, Ghana, and Songhai, whose rulers and warriors faced great odds and still triumphed. It is in the wisdom of African elders who carried the stories of the past, who knew that survival was not just about living, but about living with pride and purpose. The strength of our ancestors is what allows us to stand today. It is what empowers us to push forward in a world that often tries to erase our history, our culture, and our contributions. It is that strength that compels us to honor the sacrifices they made, to continue their fight for freedom and equality, and to ensure that their legacy lives on. They carried Africa in their hearts, and in doing so, they gave us the power to carry Africa in ours. Every time we overcome adversity, every time we rise above challenges, every time we fight for justice, we are tapping into the strength of our ancestors. They are with us in every step we take. Their sacrifices were not in vain. Their strength lives on in each of us. In every victory we achieve and in every moment we refuse to be broken. They showed us that no matter the obstacles, we are unshakable. We carry their strength, their resilience, and their hope. Through us they live on, and through us, Africa's strength will never fade. Africa is not just a continent, it is within us. From the deserts to the jungles, from the mountains to the rivers, Africa's essence flows through our veins and will never be severed. The very fabric of our being is intertwined with the land, the people, and the culture that gave birth to us. No matter where we are in the world, no matter how far from the shores of Africa we may roam, its spirit remains embedded in us, guiding us, empowering us, and reminding us of where we come from. Africa is more than a place on a map. It is a part of who we are, a part of our identity that cannot be erased no matter how much time or distance may separate us from it. In every breath we take, we inhale the wisdom of our ancestors. In every step we make, we walk on the same earth that our forefathers and foremothers once walked. From the sands of the Sahara to the lush greenery of the Congo, from the peaks of Mount Kilimanjaro to the deep blue of Lake Victoria, Africa lives in us. The memories of the first civilizations, the ancient kingdoms, the great empires, and the triumphs and tragedies of our past flow through us. They are not just historical events. They are the heartbeat of a people who have lived and thrived on this land for millennia. Our blood carries the legacy of kings and queens, warriors and scholars, artists and storytellers who shaped the rich and diverse culture of Africa. Africa's essence is not just in its land, but in its people. The strength, the resilience, the creativity, the joy, and the unity that define us as a people are products of Africa's enduring spirit. We are the sons and daughters of those who withstood great trials, who persevered through untold hardships, and who kept their culture alive in the face of colonialism, slavery, and oppression. Our ancestors knew that Africa was not just a place to live. It was a home that resided in their hearts, and they passed this deep connection on to us. They sang songs, told stories, and held rituals that kept Africa alive in their souls and in ours. When we speak our native languages, we are speaking the language of Africa, a language that has been passed down from generation to generation, carrying with it the wisdom and knowledge of our forebears. When we dance to the rhythm of the drums, we are connecting with the same rhythms that echoed through the African savannas, the same beats that brought communities together for celebrations, for rituals, and for moments of joy. When we eat the foods that our ancestors ate, we are consuming the nourishment of the land that sustained them and continues to sustain us. Africa lives in our blood, in the way we express our culture, in the way we fight for justice, and in the way we love one another. The connection to the land, to the people, and to the spirit of Africa cannot be severed by the borders that were drawn to divide us. We are all connected by the shared experience of being African, and that connection remains strong no matter where we find ourselves in the world. Africa's essence is alive in us every day in the way we move, speak, and interact with the world. The resilience, creativity, and pride that are born of this connection empower us to navigate the challenges we face. We are Africa, and Africa lives in our blood. It is a strength that no force can diminish, no distance can separate, and no time can erase. Our bodies were taken, but they could not take our spirit, our song, our dance, or our dreams. These elements of our culture cannot be erased by force. They are part of our DNA. They may have stripped us of our physical freedom. They may have tried to break our connection to our ancestors, but they could never take the essence of who we are. Our souls are not bound by chains, nor are they confined by the walls of prisons or ships that carried us to foreign land. They belong to the very core of our being and to the land from which we were torn away. From the very moment our ancestors were captured and forced into servitude, they clung to the most sacred part of their identity, their spirit. It is this spirit that refused to be broken, even in the face of unimaginable hardship. Their bodies might have been shackled, but their will was unbreakable. No matter how harsh the labor, no matter how brutal the punishment, the spirit of Africa, the spirit of survival, and the spirit of unity endured. In the face of oppression, they did not lose the essence of who they were. The song was never silenced. The rhythm of Africa could not be erased, even though they tried to suppress it. The drums, the chants, the melodies. These sounds traveled across oceans and through centuries, echoing in the hearts of those who were scattered across the globe. Music was a form of resistance, a way for our ancestors to stay connected to the land, to remember who they were, and to find solace in moments of despair. The songs they sang were more than just entertainment. They were a form of defiance, a way to preserve their culture, their beliefs, and their sense of humanity. In the midst of suffering, music became a lifeline, a bridge between the past and the future, a thread that connected them to the very soul of Africa. Similarly, our dance could not be erased. The rhythms of our bodies, the way we moved to the beat of life, were an expression of joy, of pain, and of hope. Even in the most trying of circumstances, our ancestors found ways to dance, to express themselves, and to affirm their existence. The movements were more than just physical. They were a celebration of life, a defiance of the forces that sought to dehumanize them. Through dance, they affirmed their power, their pride, and their resilience. These dances were not just a reflection of Africa's cultural diversity, but of the unity that transcended borders, languages, and history. And then there were the dreams. Our ancestors dreamed of freedom. They dreamed of a return to Africa, to the land that nourished them. They dreamed of a better future for their children, even as they endured lives of unimaginable hardship. Those dreams, though sometimes buried in the depths of despair, were never fully extinguished. Our ancestors passed down those dreams to us, and they live within us today. They inspire us to fight for justice, to reach for the stars, and to break down the barriers that still seek to divide us. Our culture, our spirit, our song, and our dreams are not things that can be captured or controlled by external forces. They are intrinsic to who we are. Even when our bodies were taken, when our lands were stolen, and when our names were erased, they could not take our souls. These are the things that make us who we are, the things that have allowed us to survive and to thrive. No matter how far we may be from the place of our birth, no matter how much the world may change, our spirit remains unbreakable, our song never fades, our dance continues to move through us, and our dreams still shine brightly ahead. They took our bodies, but they could never take what is most important to us, our soul. And that is something that no power in this world can ever erase. The survival and strength of our ancestors is woven into every achievement we make today. Their resilience is our foundation, and their sacrifices continue to guide us forward. When we look at the struggles of our past, our ancestors' fight for freedom, their resistance against oppression, and their ability to endure unimaginable hardships, it is clear that we are standing on the shoulders of giants. Their legacy is not just a chapter in history. It is alive in every step we take, in every challenge we overcome, and in every victory we achieve. Their strength, their hope, and their ability to survive against all odds are deeply embedded in the fabric of our identity, and they fuel our journey to this very day. Our ancestors' lives were marked by unrelenting struggle, but they never gave up hope. They faced the horrors of slavery, the brutality of colonialism, and the devastation of displacement, yet they managed to survive, often finding ways to resist, to adapt, and to fight for a better future. Every scar, every wound they carried, every tear they shed was a testament to their will to endure. Despite being torn from their lands, their families, and their culture, they never lost sight of the vision of freedom, dignity, and justice. They fought with everything they had, not just for themselves, but for the generations that would come after them, generations like ours. It is because of their resilience that we stand here today, free to shape our own destinies. Every achievement we make, whether in our personal lives, in our communities, or on the global stage, is a reflection of the resilience that our ancestors passed down to us. Every degree we earn, every business we build, every movement we create, every life we touch is a tribute to the sacrifices they made. Our successes are a continuation of their struggles, a way of honoring their vision of a world where we could live with freedom, respect, and opportunity. But their legacy is not just about the victories. It is also about the lessons they taught us through their survival. They taught us that no matter how great the obstacle, we have the strength to overcome it. They showed us that even in the darkest of times, hope is not lost. When everything around them was falling apart, our ancestors still found ways to dream, to fight, and to build something better. Their survival was not just about enduring the pain, but about using that pain as fuel to create something more beautiful, more powerful, and more lasting. In their resilience, we find the blueprint for our own survival. They passed down not only their strength, but their wisdom. They taught us the value of community, the power of unity, and the importance of never losing sight of who we are, no matter how the world may try to change us. Their survival was a testament to the power of hope. Hope that one day the world would change, that justice would prevail, and that freedom would be ours to claim. That hope lives on in us, driving us to push boundaries, to break barriers, and to overcome every challenge that stands in our way. The sacrifices of our ancestors continue to guide us forward. When we face difficulties, we can draw on their courage and their wisdom to persevere. Their lives were filled with moments of suffering, but also moments of triumph. They made it through, and because they did, we are here today, able to carry on their work, their dreams, and their legacy. Every step we take towards a better future is built on their sacrifices. The survival and strength they showed in the face of adversity is a beacon for us, reminding us that no matter the challenges we face, we have the same strength within us. The legacy of hope and survival lives on in us, and it will continue to guide us as we create a future that honors the sacrifices of our ancestors and builds on their dreams for a brighter tomorrow. They tried to erase us, but they only made us stronger. We are Africa. We are the heartbeat of a people who will never be silenced, who will never be erased. For every attempt to break us, for every effort to wipe away our identity, we have only grown more resilient, more determined, and more united. Africa is not just a place. It is a living, breathing force that transcends borders, time, and space. It is a force that lives within us all, in every step we take, in every decision we make, and in every challenge we overcome. We are not defined by what they tried to do to us. We are defined by how we have risen, how we have survived, and how we continue to thrive. In the face of colonization, slavery, and oppression, they tried to make us feel invisible, insignificant, and powerless. They took our land, stripped us of our resources, and sought to erase our culture and history. But what they didn't realize was that Africa is not just a place you can conquer, it is an idea, a spirit, and a legacy that cannot be destroyed. They took our bodies, but they could not take our essence. They tried to silence our voices, but we found new ways to speak, to sing, to dance, and to resist. They tried to erase our culture, but we found ways to preserve it, to adapt it, and to pass it on through generations. Through every battle, every hardship, and every injustice, we have proven that we are unbreakable. The strength of Africa lies not just in its people, but in the spirit that courses through them. A spirit that has survived centuries of adversity and emerged stronger with every test. We are the descendants of kings and queens, warriors and leaders, creators and visionaries who fought for survival and freedom. Their strength lives on in us, in our ability to endure, to adapt, and to rise above whatever challenges we face. We are unstoppable because we understand the power of unity. Africa has always been a continent of diverse cultures, languages, and traditions, yet we have always found a way to come together. Whether through shared struggle or collective celebration, the strength of the African people lies in our unity. It is this unity that makes us unbreakable. When one of us rises, we all rise. When one of us falls, we are there to lift them up. Our shared history, our shared struggles, and our shared dreams bind us together in a way that cannot be broken. As we move forward, we carry Africa's legacy with us, not as a burden, but as a source of pride and strength. We are the future of Africa, and we are determined to lead. The world may try to define us by the scars of our past, but we define ourselves by the power of our potential. We rise, we lead, and we carry Africa forward, not just for ourselves, but for the generations that will follow us. The dream of Africa's greatness is alive in each of us, and we are determined to make it a reality. We are Africa. We are unbreakable and unstoppable. The world cannot hold us down, and they cannot erase our history. They tried, but they failed. We are the embodiment of Africa's resilience, strength, and hope. We are the heartbeat of a people who will never be silenced, who will never be erased, and who will continue to rise, to lead, and to carry Africa forward into the future.